What is the connection between the movement for Black lives and sexual liberation?
When I'm with my partner, you know, if there's no peace in the home, it's really hard to fight for peace in the streets or justice in this particular way. So for me, I'm a very expressive person, but intimately, if we're not intimate, I am not so expressive all the time on the emotions or the things that matter most, really. These are things that I struggle with a lot, you know, like how to express my polyamory in an honest way, how to be honest with myself while having boundaries and being honest with my partner, how to negotiate those spaces. So the language and the communication of Somatica is really helpful. And I think having this process, my partner knowing that I'm going through this process, trying to be more expressive and vulnerable, it allows her to be more patient with me. I mean, I have no problem with my sexuality. That is definitely on point. We have fun, I think. And I think what I'm learning is that, you know, sex is not just sex, right?
Yeah.
Or our practice of this particular sexual intimacy. Just the fact that here, this is me being present with you or trying to be present with you. And that liberates me, right? Because then my partner feels at ease. I feel less tense. I feel less expectation. So now I can like carry the struggle and revolution and music and working and not have to feel like, oh man, I'm inadequate in this department and I have to figure out how to fix that part, you know? And a lot of times, just to be quite honest, like I fuck up, like I really fuck up. And I mean, I'm learning also through this liberation of sexuality to dive into myself. Why? You know, like it's not just enough for me to be like, oh yeah, I fucked up and I'm trying not to do that, but that's who I am. But why? Like learning the history of my father and learning how I grew up with my mother, about, you know, as my mother being a single parent and, you know, her having like abandonment issues and certain things and what has been passed on to me. And I'm trying to be sensitive in this like pot of me as a person, you know, like who am I? And I think that sexual liberation allows me to explore that, you know, which allows me to be more honest, you know, when I'm working with other people in the streets, when I'm training people how to be a revolutionary. I think it's contradictory at this point to not have a holistic approach. The practice of being free sexually, personally, to me puts everything together, that it doesn't have to be separate. It was a missing piece. I always thought of sexual liberation or freedom as one more of a free love type of situation, and thinking of revolution and like how I was brought into it, like whatever, like people gonna fuck up and it's all good because the main focus is the work. But I'm like, but if people don't feel safe or confident that you're thinking about them in the equation of doing the work, then the work becomes questionable. You know, your integrity becomes questionable, your intent becomes questionable. So it's a process for me. I'm really learning it. I'm studying as if I was studying, you know, bell hooks or Fred Ho or any of my mentors that I look up to, you know, in literature. I'm like, okay, how do I deconstruct this? How do I analyze this? How do I assess it? How do I practice this and have these kind of steps to figuring it out? So it's very exciting and also a little exhausting, but more exciting. Like it embodies everything or sometimes nothing, you know, if you're not doing it right. So people might want to know how to do this in a way that is accountable to not only my partners, but also my community at large, which is definitely the liberation that we're looking for.